What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Espresso, and welcome back to another video here today on the channel. In this one, we're going to be talking about something that is a little bit more open-ended once again here, a little bit of a discussion, and the future, and rather what could have maybe worked better, I think, for the topic of remasters within Call of Duty. Now, it's not going to be anything pertaining to what game to remaster, but rather the timing of such, if that's something that at surface value makes any sense. But I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit here within this video. This is something that's come up in discussion between me and a couple of friends multiple times, but most recently, as of yesterday when I was out in Los Angeles for DLC 1, the early capture event, which I can now officially say, huge thank you to Infinity Ward and Activision firstly for flying me out there and allowing me to capture footage. Stick around here on the channel if you guys want to see any of the early gameplay. We're gonna be putting up one map per day up until whenever the DLC launches, but I was talking about this with, I believe it was OG X-Rays and Ink Slasher while we were waiting around for some food, but we were talking about the idea of remasters and really one thing that we thought that could have been done better. That is the timing of such. Now, before we get too far into it, this in itself is a massive conundrum because it works out in a great positive aspect for how it's done already, but it also is kind of negative and takes away from what it could be in its own regard. But the question is it the best idea to release a remaster with a full standalone game? So essentially like what we saw this year with 2 games in the Call of Duty franchise releasing at once rather than just the standard one per year. Now, at the surface, this might once again seem a little bit crazy to even ask because why wouldn't we want 2 Call of Duties at one point? Why wouldn't we want 2 Call of Duties? One that gives the more futuristic, more exosuit vibe and one that is a more classic, reserved modern warfare type of gameplay. Why wouldn't we want both of those, both extremes to please both players? Well, the simple answer is that it divides the player count, or that's what it does in theory. Now, while there are many people that will say that the only reason they bought Infinite Warfare was for Modern Warfare Remastered, or maybe vice versa, and where these conflicting reports will actually seemingly add to this conflict of which game has better player numbers, and does it really do anything to positively reinforce the number of players in the franchise. So the biggest reasoning, at least in my guess here and estimation, for why it was released at the same time is simply to couple sales together, to boost sales and revenue on something that, as it's been reported, has been way down compared to recent years. You bring in another game, a remaster of a classic Call of Duty, and that boosts up numbers tremendously. But that also then turns into capping off the argument of why it could work, but then what could be done better? Well, my personal thought and the thought of the couple people that I discussed this with recently and beforehand is that you don't release it at the same time as the base game that you're trying to push that year. You do it instead halfway through the life cycle of that game, around say 6 months, 7 months into the game, when it is a little bit of a dry period, and then you drop a brand new game in its entirety, or rather a remaster for all intents and purposes. Now, waiting for something that you're really hyped for doesn't sound like anything that is ever too much fun, right? But it is something that, if done properly, I believe definitely could be something that moving forward maybe is the better way to go with remasters. Obviously, I don't make the big bucks and I don't make this decision here for Activision and the studios producing remasters in the future, but it is something that I would definitely love to be taken into consideration because if you look at it right now, a lot of people are burned out from Infinite Warfare. A lot of people are burned out from Modern Warfare Remastered because they've played the same game for a couple of months now and there's not really been all that much introduced. We've played the same basic build of Infinite Warfare for a couple of months now, but we at least have that bit where we get DLC here in the next week. Modern Warfare Remastered doesn't really get that. Their DLC was 6 maps that were going to be in the base game but didn't make it at launch. That was their DLC, and there is the possibility of a variety map pack, which I definitely think will happen, but there's not necessarily all that much content that you can push out after this point. So moving forward, if you were to take the base game and have the DLC in, say, January, late March, mid-April, that time frame, you then have half your content out, but at that same point in time, April is right around that 6-month mark, April to May, of whenever the game has been launched since then. So then around that point, maybe you drop that remaster so that then you have a lot of content that maybe doesn't have DLC, but is a base game and a different brand new game in that sense, where it's a full complete set of content and something that is really refreshing in terms of what you've played for the past couple of months. By doing so, you would completely get rid of the dry periods, as people like to call them, in the Call of Duty cycle, where there is a lot of DLC here and there, but then in sometimes it's just dry as a desert. There's no real updates, there's no new content coming out. If you do this, it completely gets rid of that entire notion of downtime within a Call of Duty year and the life cycle of a game. If you were to do this, you'd pretty much fill up the majority of gaps in the year as to when there is no content. So players would always have stuff being refreshed for them. They'd always have brand new stuff to keep a hold of their interest and their intrigue, and definitely I think it would be a nice little feature to really just say, you know what? There's not much going on right now, how about we give you a brand new game? So of course, I have no real say in this, but it's something that's been on my mind recently, especially since yesterday, since I talked about it again, and it brought this back up in my mind. It's something that's just been intriguing to me for quite some time, and really, it would be interesting to see how this would work out, if it would work better, or if it would work worse. Whatever it may be, it's probably not going to be something we see here in the very near future. I don't necessarily anticipate another remaster for at least another 2 years, and at that point, maybe we'll see a Modern Warfare 2 remastered, but I don't know, I don't make the big bucks, I don't make these decisions, but it's just some food for thought, really. So, that said, what would your thoughts be on this here? Would you guys like to see a remaster released at launch to split the player play count up like this and boost sales, or would you rather it be something that is released later on to keep your interest throughout the entire year of Call of Duty and perhaps maybe decrease all the dry spells, as people call them, within the calendar year of Call of Duty and the content drops? Whatever it is, it's of course greatly welcome down there in the comment section down below. Leave your thoughts on it though. I'd love to hear your opinion and your piece on it. But that is where we're gonna wrap it up. So thank you dudes so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything that we have coming here for not only DLC 1, a little bit of early access sneak peek preview for you guys, but also for a bunch of different stuff coming up on the horizon, being COD 2017, Modern Warfare Remastered, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, all that good stuff. If you guys want to check out the 2 videos on screen right now, or either of the 2, simply click the cards on the screen right now. It'll take you to that link if any of those seem interesting to you. And if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me here outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to follow me and strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description. But thank you dudes so much for watching. Mine has been a cool Espresso. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace. DLC 1 content tomorrow, baby. Woo!